guys, welcome back to our channel. Today I have a bit of a different video for you. I don't tend to do these. I don't think I've ever done one. I never do monthly TBRs. The only time I ever do TBRs really is for readathons. In this case, I'm thinking a little bit broader than monthly. I'm thinking for the year 2017, what books do I want to make sure I read? Since 2017 is basically a week away, I think a lot of us are already in the mindset of, all right, what do I want to accomplish next year? And although I want to get into more detail in my 2016 wrap-up and 2017 reading goals videos, this is more like something fun I just want to do because it's Christmas Eve and let's enjoy ourselves here by doing a fun video talking about what I want to read for sure in 2017. The first book I would like to read is Women Travel, First-Hand Accounts from More Than 60 Countries. This is a nonfiction book and it's a bunch of travel stories written by women. It's put together by Rough Guides, which is a company that publishes travel guides to countries and places all over the world. This is actually quite an old copy. I believe it was published in 1999, but travel stories are timeless. They're classic. It's so cool to maybe read a story about something that happened somewhere in the 70s or 80s and up until 1999 in this case. So I'm just really looking forward to reading this to sort of fulfill my wanderlust. The second book I want to read is The Mountains of My Life by Walter Bonatti. This is another nonfiction book. Walter Bonatti is a very famous Italian mountaineer, and I just read this book, No Way Down, which is about a disaster that happened on K2 relatively recently. And Walter Bonatti gets mentioned in that book because it gives some of the history of K2, and he played a pretty big part in a climb that happened in the 50s, and although I don't really know all the details because I'll get them from this book, it's very dramatic and one of those, if you're in the circle of, you know, the mountaineering circle, the alpinist circle, you know it. So I'm going to learn a lot more about this and about the mountaineering lifestyle. Next book I would like to read is Redeployment by Klay. This one was getting a lot of buzz a while ago now, and I picked it up I think maybe last year. When I was in high school, I read The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, and I really liked that book, and this is sort of compared to that, except a more, you know, recent Iraq War setting rather than a Vietnam War setting. I feel like this will be a very powerful read, and I'm really interested. I keep thinking about it and then just keep putting it aside for other books, but I need to read this in 2017. Fourth is Girl at War by Sarah Novich. This is a fiction book about a girl who is living in Yugoslavia when that war broke out and her family escapes to the United States, and then 10 years later she's living in New York, and 10 years later is 2001, and I think we all know what happened in 2001. It's a comparison between 1991 and her life then, and I think 2001, and also her going back to Yugoslavia after it is no longer Yugoslavia. I've heard so many good things about this book. I don't think I've actually heard a bad thing about it, so it's just, I need to read it. Just read it. Now, I definitely don't read as much young adult as I used to. Not that I was ever a super big reader of young adult, but I used to enjoy it more. Every once in a while, I do get the craving to read one, and in this case, that is Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen. I would certainly call Sarah Dessen one of the queens of YA, as she's written a ton of books, and in this case, we have our main character whose name is Sydney, and she has her brother who ends up getting in trouble, somebody she always looked up to, and he ends up going to jail. So she's kind of torn and upset about this, and she meets this other family that's very welcoming and fun, and of course one of the siblings in this family is a boy, and you know, it's Sarah Dessen, so we got a girl and a boy, and I think there's going to be a little romance here. There's always a lot of hype around Sarah Dessen books, but this one seemed to do really well even after the fact. People kept saying how they really like this book. It's more psychological, a little bit deeper than maybe some of the other stuff she writes. Not that I've read that much Sarah Dessen, but I keep coming back to this, and I think it's going to be one of the first reads of 2017, just because I think I'm looking for something that is a little bit of a faster read, but still has some meaning to it. This book right here, The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I have been hearing so much about this book from different people, and I've had it on my shelf for a bit. It is part of a trilogy, and I believe the last book just came out, which is probably why I've been hearing a lot about it lately, but it's been a lot of really good feedback. It's a fantasy novel about a princess that was raised away away from her kingdom and now she has to go back and claim her rightful throne. It just sounds like it would be a really solid fantasy read and something I definitely want to get to in the next year. And then finally, my last book that I really want to read in 2017, I actually haven't even shown anyone yet because I haven't hauled it yet because it just came in the mail the other day. I received Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi in the mail from Penguin UK. And can we just take a moment to admire the UK cover? I know the book already came out in the US a bit ago, so I've seen the US cover a ton, and I was really delighted when I got this in the mail and I just saw how beautiful this one is as well. I honestly think I might like this one better, which, I mean, the other one was really good. So this is saying something. A lot of you have probably already heard about this book, but very quick synopsis. We have two sisters that end up going very different directions. One of them is sold into slavery and the other one marries a slave trader. And as far as I understand, it sort of goes through generations of families between countries on the Gold Coast in Africa and the US and what sort of happens to the sisters and their family members, maybe their descendants. Quite certain this will be the first book that I pick up in 2017. This one has just been in the back of my mind for a while and I never went out and bought it, so I was so excited when I found out that I could get my hands on it. So hopefully this turns out to be as good as I want it to be. And that is that. That is 7 books that I would love to read in 2017. If you guys have a books I want to read in 2017 to be read pile, feel free to share what you would like to tackle down below. As always, all of the links are in the doobly-doo. Check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.